Lynette from Bestial Mouths. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Lynette from Bestial or Bestial Mouse. Either one is correct.
It is either or, is it?
Yeah, technically you can say it either or. And every now and then I say Bestial. Every now and then I say Bestial.
I used to think it was bestial, and I thought, actually, no, it's bestial, and I'm not really sure. So now you've corrected me. It's either.
Yeah, sometimes the problem can be if you say Bestial, people will spell it with an A. So
Yeah,
it's a little confusing.
but it means roughly the same thing either way you say it, I guess.
Yep.
It's an unusual name, but it's like the band, unique.
Yeah, we actually got the name from a previous project I did. I think it was one of the first ones I ever did called African Grays. And it was a lyric in a song, Bestial Mouse singing to drag in the winter. And I just always loved it. And I was like, huh, that kind of fits.
What is it? Something to do with sound coming out of an animal?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's to me, it just means like a mouth singing words. It's like um, just in all forms, whatever comes out. It can be
Yep.
guttural from your, so that's how conceptually it feels like to me. And mouths make sounds, music is sounds.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And you've been really busy since we last spoke.
Yeah. About to be really busy with, we have a tour coming up for the US. Starts March 8th until April 13th. So it's like 30 shows, I believe.
Whoa, that's a lot
Yeah.
of shows.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of shows, and that's the US only, is it?
That's the US, uh-huh.
And any plans for elsewhere?
We're in the works of that right now, talking to the agent to there's some festivals we want to see if we can get into for Europe. And I know we're kind of planning in the works of that, but nothing set in actual stone yet.
Would be good. That would be good. And are you okay, fan base wise in Europe?
Yeah, we used to live in Berlin for a while. So kind of started out in LA, then was in Berlin for a while, and now back into California again. So our fan base is kind of everywhere. Because for a while it seems like we were more popular in Europe, but now it seems like the US is starting really, the music scene is pumping up again and more shows and festivals are happening. So I feel like it's kind of an exciting time again for shows and stuff in the US.
Wow. And you re-released, well, not re-released, but you did a remix version of your album, Backbone.
Mm-hmm.
What made you
Yeah.
do a remix version?
I love doing remixes because I think it's really cool to, one, be able to connect with other artists that you admire, whether you contact them or they contact you. And to me, it's just such an honor to know that they want to spend that time with your work and remake it. And just hearing it in new versions and how people put it together is just really exciting for me. And I also think it's a good way for people to take a song maybe that wasn't good for like DJing or dance floor. Maybe it's slower. Now they've made it for the dance floor. We love doing remixes as well. I love to do remixes and kind of sing on them or have someone else who's also a singer sing on ours. I like collaborating a lot.
That's really good. That's really good. That's interesting, actually. That, but listening to that album, I did um, have to say to you, I still love Road of Tears, Road of a Thousand Tears. I just love that song so much.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's personally one of my favorites just because it's kind of my anthem for being. And I don't know if a lot of people realize Rot in My Skin, the album actually stands for Rot is Road of Thousand Tears.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't catch that, but that's what that is. Yeah. And it's the first time I sang in Spanish. So there's Spanish and English on there. So it was really special to me. And also, I've had this idea for a really long time, kind of for the song in my head. And when we were writing, they played this. Oh, I wrote this a long time ago. And I was like, that's perfect. Just send me that. I'm going to like do a basic track to that. And that's kind of how that song started. I did it all in one take for the basic track.
Wow. It really is such a good song, that. It really
Thank
is.
you.
But listening to your remix, I went back and actually listened to another song from the original album. And that hit me. For some reason, not overlooked, but it wasn't one of those ones that stood out. But all of a sudden, it just hit me and seemed absolutely fantastic. And that's Hex.
Hex. Okay, yeah, the spell. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so good.
Yeah, that one is I wrote that song actually uh based upon a personal experience of when I was bullied. And I've just got tired of feeling like the bully always wins. They still have control over you. And it was kind of my way of taking back that power. And if anybody else is experiencing the same thing, taking back that power and be like, you're not going to do this to me.
Wow, I can't imagine you ever being bullied.
Yeah, there was a really horrible thing that happened in Berlin. And yeah, resulted in a lot of people, this person did the same thing to a lot of musicians, and everybody was kind of afraid because they had more power than us. And I was like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I need to do something. And so yeah, I did a lawsuit, went through all the official means of
Oh,
everything
this
too.
wasn't, I thought this was at school,
Oh, mm-mm.
adulthood.
This is adulthood. Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't think I was necessarily ever bullied at school so much. I mean, I was always gothy and different. So, people like Beetlejuice, whatever. But other than that, no, I had two older brothers too. Oh
That helped.
yeah, definitely for sure. Sorry. Got to turn my finger off.
So I've done mine and put it somewhere. I don't know where.
I forgot. I was like, oh, it's next to me.
Yeah, I've had that go off before, and I thought, I'm sure I turned that off.
Oh, I do that every night because I need to send my phone to airplane mode because my partner's a very light sleeper. I sleep through anything, but my phone is consistently going off because of all time zones in Europe and the US
Oh
and
God, I can imagine.
all
Yeah,
social medias. And I'm just like right next to it. And he's like, hello. And I'm like, oh, sorry. And on
I'm,
tour too, my bandmates, Lynette. I'm like, sorry.
I'm the same. I can sleep through anything. You could have
Mhm.
war outside. I just
Me too.
wouldn't hear it.
Me too. I'm asleep in like 2 seconds and I
Yeah.
sleep through anything, but I wake up really easily. So you can be like, hey, Lynette, get up. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'll wake up and have full conversations and go right back to sleep. And I don't remember them.
I've had the bang. Seriously, you're asleep already?
Yeah.
You stay awake until I'm asleep.
I know, me too. And I'll fall asleep. The worst part is though, even with movies and things I like, I'll fall asleep and I'm like, oh, I did it again. So that can be a little frustrating, but
I very rarely watch a movie in full. I'm asleep within
yeah,
seconds.
yeah. If I stop moving, I'm either like moving or sleeping. That's kind of like my personality, like hyper or like out. But the one crazy thing I do is I do have nightmares at night. So they're pretty bad. And so it can be pretty hard when you're sleeping next to one or we're on tour. It happens sometimes and I just will scream and it wakes me up and it's terrifying. And I've done it once or twice on tour and my bandmate Raph is like, oh my God, Lynette, I can't take it. Sorry. But I'm like, imagine what I'm feeling.
Exactly. And my wife talks in her sleep.
Ah, okay, yeah.
And the worst one she does is Mike, 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 what? Give me some of that chocolate you've got. I haven't got any chocolate. I'm asleep. Oh.
Oh my
And
God,
then
that's
she's,
the
then she's
best.
asleep. And it's like,
That
going
is
on
so
here? And I tell her in the morning and she says,
what?
oh.
Yeah,
She's actually talking to me, wanting responses while she's asleep.
that's amazing. That one's good. I like that one.
And it's like, I don't know where I am when she does that. What's going
Yeah.
on?
We got chocolate. Okay, I want chocolate too. Where is it?
Where is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest things when you're asleep.
I know it's weird.
But yeah, and she has to nudge me with her elbow, otherwise I won't wake up.
Yeah. For me, I do what we call burritoing. I move so much. I've even had it where I've woken up like on the foot of the bed. I just remember one time I woke up and I was like, hey, Axel, the bed's moved away from the wall. Like, what's going on? I was totally freaked out. And he was like, that's nice, dear. And I was like, well, if he doesn't care, who cares? So I went to sleep, woke up, and I realized my head had now was at the foot of the bed, hanging over the bed. Like, and I was like sleeping like this because
Oh
he
my,
says I'll put my arms in the air and do all this stuff. And I woke up and I'm like, huh, no wonder. Yeah. I don't know what I do. That's why the lyrics, even in my dreams, the screaming never stops.
Exactly. Oh, it's brilliant. That's just the weirdest things we do when we're asleep.
Mhm.
I don't know how we do it. Ended up where I've kicked the bedclothes on the other side of the bedroom.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's like,
like,
where have they gone? Why am I
no,
so cold?
partner, he's like moving all the time because in his, he's like a hero. So he's always like doing all this stuff. So he's like, oh, I'm tired. I'm like, yeah, I think we both were like way too crazy last night. I still feel tired.
Brilliant. So, have you got another album planned or anything like that?
Yes, we do. We are in the works of writing it right now. We're kind of writing it. Then I'm going to meet with everybody in May. So hopefully, like sometime in October, we'll do an LP. Um, and oh, it should be out. So, but we're in the works of it. Yes.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Because
Already got the name and doing the whole thing. Yeah.
oh, really?
Mhm.
Wow, artwork.
Ideas for it. Yeah. A lot of times, what we start with, things can take various forms. Like sometimes you have the music and then it'll influence me for stuff. A lot of the times, and this is how we wrote the past two ones, is I kind of start conceptually with an idea. Because if we look at In Shrouds, Resurrected in Black, Rot, Road to a Thousand Tears, and then this next one, it's kind of a lineage of what's going on in my life and kind of storytelling. So, and they're very conceptual. So a lot of times I'll start out with sending influence of basically just photos and images and colors and things like that and feelings and lyrics and stuff like that. So a lot of it forms in that way. But yeah, I should be meeting hopefully when we're writing with the photographer who did our last album cover to do the shoot with them again too. So we're talking back and forth about it. Yeah.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. And how many albums have that been now?
I don't know. I gotta look on my discography.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, put you on the
I
spot.
was like, how long you've been around? I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to look. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, we've had a couple with different lineups of people, different writers, different labels. But then the past four ones now have been with Brant Showers from Solve and Damon. He's my right hand person always.
You're doing so well. I mean, is this a project you want to keep going now because it's built its momentum?
I hope so. I love it. Bestial Mouths is neat. Like it's my story, my some people call it trauma pop, like trauma, my connection to people. Um, so yeah, I hope so. That's the plans right now. We have stuff coming up and everything, so we'll see.
And you keeping it always updated on TikTok, I've noticed as well. So you've always got something there.
We're trying to reach, everybody on all the different forms of social media because it's always changing. So just because I really like to stay fresh and I really love to tap into the younger audience. Like my favorite is all ages shows. I love just seeing what the newer generations are doing and wearing, and I just think it's really cool.
Yeah, well, it is, and it keeps you relevant then, doesn't it? Otherwise,
I guess so. But yeah, that's the idea because like we never came out with being like, I want to be this type of band, I want to be that type of band. It's what comes out is just what I've been influenced with and what I've listened to and what I'm listening to now and maybe what's happening now. So just all your experiences and your travels. That's kind of how my music forms.
and what's it like at one of your gigs? Are the people kind of really engaged with you?
It can vary, there's usually people up front dancing, sometimes dancing and singing. Sometimes there's people just watching. Um, I've heard lots of times afterwards, people like, wow, I was just so enthralled that I just was watching it. So I never, because I know some bands are like, oh, no one's dancing, this and that. I don't judge any of that because I want everyone to enjoy the show how they want to enjoy it. Some people are dancers, some people aren't. Everyone will take it in differently. But the main thing is that we usually have visuals and the performance, and I really try to engage and kind of bring everybody in just so we can kind of feel together.
And what's it like when they start singing your lyrics?
Oh, it's really cool.
I was going to say that must be one of the best feelings.
Yeah,
Hearing
or someone's
fans
like,
singing.
this song, or I see someone, the cutest to me is I love it when I see someone kind of dancing and singing along, because that's like what I do. And so I'm like, oh, that's so cute. But a lot of times too, I'm not really looking at the audience because I have to stay focused because I'm really ADD. So if I look at something, I will just notice the visuals of it, and then my brain will just wander. Like even now, if I'm really thinking, you'll see me look away. I had a boss one time when I was in design, fashion design, and at first she was like, "Are you listening to me? Because you never look at me." And I was like, "No, I can't. Because if I'm really listening and comprehending, a visual comes in my brain and I have to do it that way. If I look at you, I'm going to start being like, oh, what is she wearing? Oh, she cut it, like, so
Wonder.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I don't always look straight at people because I'm visually impaired.
Ah, okay.
So my screen, like at the moment, is very zoomed in to actually see my notes. And
Yeah.
that's why you may not see me always look directly at you, because I can't see faces properly. So I
Uh,
have to, I
I
try
don't
and
even
focus.
notice because I'm always looking around too. Because I also get nervous with extreme eye contact too. I'm like, why are they looking at me? What's going on? Because
Yeah,
I
exactly.
do have social anxiety. And
Yes,
it's like, no way.
likewise.
But a lot of performers do.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people, even people who've been around a long, long time, about the nerves they get still and
Yeah.
anxiety about going on stage. And it's like, really, after all this time? And they say, yeah, still.
Yeah, I
All the
still
time.
have that too. Like before, the worst is if I'm performing places where I know people personally, like friends or families, there, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, that's the worst. And I really, before a show, I need to not be like engaging with people so much because I'm socially weird. So I need to like be able to focus and kind of get into the same thing. But yeah, I still get nervous and before a tour and everything too, like flying people. I get nervous. Zooms, phone calls are the worst. I am
Yes,
so
phone
bad
calls.
with people.
Hate
Why
the
are they
phone.
hard? They're so hard.
They are. I really hate the phone. I,
Me too.
if I can
My phone
avoid
will
making
be
a phone
ringing.
call, I will.
My phone will be ringing and it's like my mom. And I'm just looking at it like, I'm like, it's my mom, And sometimes I'm like, okay, I'll call it back. But yeah, yeah, everyone knows if I call you, it's probably an emergency. So answer the phone because like I don't, or I just need you right then because it's very rare, but I have to work myself up. All right, you can do this.
Yeah, I get told, just phone them up. No, 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 I won't do that.
No,
Why?
I got to text or
Oh,
email
no.
first. No, no, no. Please don't make me.
I'll text your email, but no, calling, no.
Yeah, yeah, me
You
too.
can do it for me. No, you do
Yeah,
it. No.
exactly.
And it's like, but you talk to people you don't know for interviews. Yep, but I suffer several hours of anxiety before I do.
Before it happens. Yeah, yep, yep. Every day like before I leave the house, do I do everything, and then it's always a 5-second pause before I reach to the door. Do I really need to do this? Why am I
Yep.
doing this? Every day before I play a show, before I do a video, anything, I'm still just like, why do I do this? Why
Yeah.
do I do this? Like,
Yeah. Why am I putting myself through this? Why?
yeah.
But I do it every time before an interview. I always, oh God, what if this, what if that, what if this? And it's like, just do it. No, can't do it. It's like devil and the angel on each shoulder.
Yeah. I'm always like, what happens if I just like keep driving and I just never show up? Like, does it matter? Oh, I don't know. And then I'll be like, well, look, everybody else put all this time into it, so you can't disappoint other people. So that's kind of how my brain will kind of rationalize it with other stuff. They've taken this time, so because yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of performers probably feel like the inferiority complex or like I don't. And that's the other thing too. People, I'm like, I don't know who wants to talk to me or what they want to know. Social media is really hard for me too. That's why I have some help because I'm tired of looking at pictures of myself. Like I don't know what people want to see and know. Like not that I don't want to be I'm not trying to be like super cool and obscure. I don't really know. And I'm not on social media very much because I'm busy with things. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm usually like playing with my animals out in nature, that kind of thing. I can't sit for too long and like be online.
Oh, of course, because you had the dog with you last time.
Yeah, they're both here.
Oh, they are here. Hello.
Hey, hi, little Millie. She's like, I'm sleeping. What's going on? This is little 3-pound Millie. Jessica.
Tiny.
Vete. Vete, vete, mi amor. Come on. We've got rescues. We have this one's Jessica, who's our pit bull Rottweiler. Come to Jessie. She's more shy. Say hi.
Wow.
Say hi. Say hi. Mwah. Yeah, she my partner rescued her from a yard. She was in the desert, chained up outside, with like only this much, and with no shade, no water, no food. He said she was skin and bones and everything
Oh my
too. And
God.
so he knocked on the door and he's like, "What's going on with your dog?" And the guy had some sob story of that. It was his wife's dad who loved it, passed away. They inherited it. They didn't know what to do. They didn't want it. So he's like, "Yeah, but you don't do that." And he said when he was talking to him, two perfectly groomed chihuahuas came out of the house. And he's like, "No, I'm taking your dog." So yeah, it's been a long process of rehabilitation with her. She used to kind of get aggressive, like with other dogs, like out of fear and stuff like that. We
Yeah.
realize now it's just scared. And she would just hide from people. So she has now come out of her shell and loves people and everything too, and is the sweetest, most docile, well-behaved dog. She's the best.
And
I get
she's a cross between two dogs people say are
it.
awful. Yeah.
Yep. She's a pit Roddy. Um, but yeah, she's super smart. And at one time, we found these two feral kittens, and we were nurturing them for a while. And she was their mother. Like it was so cute the first night because we were like, I'm not sure. She would cry and cry. I'm like, why are you crying? And then I'd have to open the door, and she'd see that they were okay. And then she could go to sleep. Okay. And we've had
Wow.
some other, like we had another chihuahua that got hit by a car that we took care of and stuff. And my parents adopted too. And you have little Easy too, didn't you? Yes, you did. Yeah.
Is she the one that was in the video last time?
What video? It had to be. Yeah, it had to
Yeah,
be.
I think so. Yeah. She's
It
lovely,
has.
isn't she? They're really
It
lovely.
has to. Yeah, they're both about.
The little one's just
She's hysterical. Millie, say hi. Yeah, she is not a typical Chihuahua. She doesn't bark. She doesn't bite. She loves to party. She loves people. Okay, chill out. They're like, oh, us.
doesn't want to be left out.
No. That's like her personality finally coming out too. Because before she would, but now she's like, what about me? What about me?
Oh, brilliant. They
Yeah,
are
we're big.
lovely. They really are lovely. And I can see that
Big. I see.
how you treat them so lovely.
Yeah, we're big animal rescuers. I'm vegan. Yeah.
That's all right, isn't it? That's your way. So why not?
Yeah. Animals are my being. They're my
Yeah.
reason for living. Yeah. They're the best. I love birds. I love it all. Lots of times you'll
Sadly,
hear
I'm not vegan, but I do love animals, and I do hate it when people mistreat animals. I just there's I find there's a difference between consuming meat and
oh yeah.
mistreating animals. I mean, there's mistreating is for no reason at all. That's just
Yeah. And it's
absolutely
just a
no reason.
choice. Being vegan for me is just a choice that I've been vegan since I was like 13.
Oh wow.
I never really liked meat that much anyways. And I used to, my mom, being Puerto Rican, when I was always cooking in the kitchen. So I don't know, I was the one preparing it and stuff. And then once I knew where it came from and stuff, so it's just been for me. But I don't think it's cool when people are just like really aggressive about being vegan and judging others because, oh my goodness, you
It's
are
a big
hamming it
yawn.
up. Whoever does that. Um, she's like, I got stuff to say. Because, we all, it's just the importance of knowing what you're eating, where it comes from, and balancing things out. Like I do wear used leather, and my jewelry line has a lot of used leather because I feel it's okay as a vegan because they've already been killed. So to continue to use the product as much as you can, also from the environment.
It's no waste then.
Yeah.
It's
My
not being
jewelry line
killed
is
for
all about
waste.
that. Yeah. It's just trying to be aware of your footprint, eliminating waste in this world. Because for doing the jewelry line was really hard because I was like, I don't want to create more stuff in this world. We already have so much.
So much.
What are we going to do and what will make me? So that's where the jewelry line came from. And I literally collect everything, things off the ground, things from burned buildings, like old car parts. Like when I travel, I pick things up, bones I collect, raw crystals. People will give me broken, discarded things. Like you're like, oh, I have one earring now. What do I do? I'm like, send it to me or wear one. But so that's, yeah.
Oh, that's good. That is really good. I like that idea. But I
Thanks.
must admit, I did once see a lamb that had been killed, and I've never eaten lamb since.
Since then, yeah.
Once I saw that, I thought, nah. I saw that alive yesterday, and no, no, can't do it.
Yeah.
And I don't see the point of. I know it sounds like a bit twisted, but an older animal is one thing, but when it's like calves or lambs, I just do not see the point of it.
Feel like if it's still young
They're
and pregnant.
babies. They're babies. Let them have a life at least, you know.
Yeah.
And I just think that's. I think that is unnecessary. That's unnecessary. That's not food. Food, you'd wait till it grew up and you'd have a lot of food from it.
Yeah.
That's nothing there, and that's just like why. So
That was like commercialism. Yeah, my mom had a story of when, because she lived on a farm when she was young and they had a turkey and it was a pet turkey. And then she came home from school one day and she's like, where's my turkey? She's like, obviously they ate it and cooked it, and that's what the
yeah,
farm's about. That's how they fed
yeah.
themselves. But yeah, she was like, that was my turkey.
And I don't agree with like battery farms or the way they treat some not all
Yeah,
farmers obviously, but some farmers treat them like part of the family until that time, but others put them in these small pens or whatever. They can't move, and it's just like no,
and
no.
that's just another thing about it as well. It's just people being educated so they know what happens. And that's why I'm a big proponent for adopting and not buying. Not all breeders are bad, for sure. Some of them completely love them. But because of commercialism, there is a lot of really bad hoarding and breeding.
Yeah, yeah, and that's not right.
Yeah.
There's just certain things, you can. I think you can do what you want, but there's certain things that be like you said, be aware of it, and then make your choices once you're fully aware of what is going on, and you choose that way. And if you want to, if you see something you don't like, by not purchasing that, and if others do the same and they choose with their own mind not to buy from that kind of thing will stop.
Yeah.
It's a natural thing. They will stop. If that's not commercially viable, they will stop.
Yeah. We're
Like,
driving it. It's hard though, because nowadays to find out what is the truth with there's so much disinformation out there,
oh,
so it takes a lot of work on your part to really understand even the politics in your area and understand everything, even just trying to be good. Like I go to the store and I'm trying to buy things in glass so that I'm eliminating plastics or whatever, but sometimes you have no option or that's the more expensive one. So
yeah,
and then products lie to you and say this and that, so it's a hard one. We try to go to the farmers market when we can, but so we buy local produce and stuff, but even there was like in plastic, so we're trying to put it in our bag, and I want to make food in bulk, so we're not, but we live in a small trailer, so we don't have room for that. So
yeah.
yeah, it's a thing.
It's
And then you're like, it's better to use this, but then I'm washing it all the time, and then that's why figuring it out.
yeah. That's the problem, isn't it? I mean, it's not always the most easy option to do the
Yeah.
right way, we could call it. Like I said, you said glass. I mean, I never understand why we've all got rid of glass bottles and gone to plastic bottles.
I
Glass
don't.
bottles, you used to get a deposit, put it back, and they'd reuse it. They didn't have to break it up. It was washed properly with chemicals, obviously chemicals, which is probably just as bad. But
See,
then,
that's the thing. It's like, well, then we do this, but then the plastics, like, oh, we all, and the amount of plastics we all have in our body.
I know it's
Yeah.
crazy,
You're going on and on.
crazy.
And my dad was just started studying about that, finding plastics in embryos and things like that, because he's a pathologist. So he researches things and was a specialty in cancer for years and stuff. And
Wow,
it's crazy.
it is. It is. I mean, here they've introduced um, deposits on plastic bottles, and there's recycling machines that give you your
Oh,
10
good.
cents back or whatever it is, and but it's not convenient. Sometimes you'll go there with your bag full of bottles and it's not working, and you think, great, now I've got to take it all the way back.
Back. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's hard. It's everything. It makes everything harder because of all these. things were developed for convenience. So it's easier. So now it's like we're kind of going back the other way, and it's more work for sure. But I think just being aware in every little bit we do. I mean, you can see what's going on with the climate now, so it's definitely there.
Yeah, yeah. And I also think, though, as well as climate, the Earth does change.
Oh yeah, of
I
course.
mean,
It's
it's
going to
changing.
evolve.
I mean, you imagine what it was like millions of years ago. It was full of volcanoes everywhere. and that must have been awful.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah,
Dinosaur, volcanoes, everything. Yeah, I can't even. Yeah.
exactly. God, we've gone on a tangent somewhere, haven't we?
I know. Like, sorry, that was me. I do that. I do that.
No, that's all right, though. I mean, it's as long as you're okay with that being in
Oh, of course. Yeah.
natural
That,
conversation. So it's good. Um, where were we? Lyrically, you pick everything up from your experience, do you, in life?
yeah, lyrically, I do a lot of cut ups and a lot of stream of consciousness. Sometimes it can start with I'm just doing cut up and then something reminds a feeling or something like that. Lately it's really mostly been just my experiences that I've been through in life, like a huge divorce, moving all the time, things in the past, being bullied, um, just life's things in general, because I feel it's a way, one, to help me, but also for other people to connect, because there are things a lot of us have been through.
Yeah, that's good because obviously people then can relate to a lot of it.
Yeah, that's really what I hope. And in the last album, what I try to do that as well is kind of tell my story, but also doing a lot of like repetitive vocals and rhythms, so people could kind of chant and come along with it, and kind of like we're all in this journey together. And yeah, we always publish our lyrics so you can read them too. And they're not super straightforward. I think a lot of times they're like more poetic, but I also think that's good because it leaves everybody open for their own interpretation. Like you could read one thing and you'll find something from it from your experiences. I will from there. Same with the art and just music in general, because I want everyone to be able to gravitate it into what they see and how they feel, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's, I suppose, it's like the way I see that or hear that song, "Road of a Thousand Tears." I love it, and it's how once you told me a little bit of the story behind it, it hit even more, and it now always puts like imagery in my head, and
Yeah,
it's
I got the idea from that song because it's from the Trail of Tears, the road that the Native Americans had to take. And I remember first learning about it. I had to go, when I was younger, I had to go to tutoring because I'm dyslexic, to learn how to read. And also I have like a speech impediment to help with that too. So every now and then it comes out and words are kind of hard. But going there, and they had this whole map that they had painted of the worlds, and it had all these things. And I remember seeing this line, it was Trail of Tears, and being like, mommy, what's that, and learning that that was the path that these people, and I just was mortified, like, what, that was their land, how could, and it just, that just stuck in my brain, and I was quite young.
it is shocking. It is shocking. Um, and I've always admired Native American Indians. I always admired them. I just think they had pride, so much pride. And I always remember the song. I can't remember the original version. That 999 did a cover of Indian Reservation.
Oh, I don't know if I know that one either.
You've never heard that song?
No, I'm gonna have to look it up.
It's really. I'll send you a link to it.
Yeah,
It's the lyrics are fantastic. It's like they were such a proud nation. Um, and it says things like about the teepees, even goes down to that detail where they used to make them by hand and now they're all made in Japan.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just like all those bits, and we took them off their land, and it the lyrics are just incredible. It really is a good song. I mean, it's originally it was some singer, and then the punk band 999 took it, but it's not done in a fast hard punk way. It's done respectfully,
Yeah,
and
I'd
it
imagine.
really is good. I'll send you a link to it, and I think you'll like the lyrics. They really
Yeah.
do. They always hit home to me how we treated them or how they were treated, and it just seems so wrong. So
It's
wrong.
just, I mean, unfortunately, I think human nature, a lot of it is just greed and it's just everywhere. The survival of the fittest, and we continue to do it. We've done it to so many different nationalities and places too. It's just for me though, it's mind boggling. I don't get it. Like, and I guess that's also good because I don't get it, but why would you think if you went there, that's yours? Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand that mentality. That's just not in my nature, but also that doesn't mean I'm always going to come out on top, I guess.
Yeah.
In terms of society, in terms of what is top, what is successful. Um, that's just not how I play.
No, no, I think it's so unfair. And it's the same with the Maoris in New Zealand, the Aborigines in Australia. They were all proud races, and they were just treated like absolute rubbish. I won't swear. They were absolute rubbish. And I just think that's so unfair because they were so proud.
Well,
They still
yeah,
are of their traditions.
the respect of the land and living with nature and the environment, that's really mystical and magical to me, and that's what I really love about
Yeah.
all of it. But yeah, just humans being afraid of what they don't know, I guess, and just trying to for their self-interest is the
Yeah,
thing.
because they were very one with nature,
Yeah.
hence their names, I guess. Always to do with is it the wind, the rivers, streams, everything, birds, just fantastic the way they were with nature. And then all that happened and awful. I mean, they say, oh yeah, but the Indians were brutal. But were they brutal before we kind of took them on?
If you look at all of
Who were they
it, just
killing
if you look at
beforehand?
everything, it's like
Yeah.
we're all humans, we're all suffering the same thing. So that's what's so hard for me, that I'm just like, but I don't even want to start on war and
Oh, that's the world is a mess right now. It really is an absolute mess.
yeah.
And it's like I was watching on the TV, the news before we came on, and the argument live on television between the president and the president of Ukraine. That was just what the hell
Yeah.
is going on? Being
It's
played in front of the media.
it's just crazy. Yeah, there was a week out, I think for like 2 weeks after the election, we're like, we're not going to talk about it. We just need to, I need a break. I need to like go through this trauma that, because I wasn't living in the US the first time Trump got elected. So it still was, I knew it was happening, but more removed. But this time being in the US, it's just insane. And the experiences I've had since I got back from Europe, just seeing how it's changed and how, the racism, I there's some things that have just boggled my mind. I can't believe have been happening. But yeah, it's all just, I guess, like TV and media and people being disenfranchised with what is true in politics. It's all become kind of a joke to everybody, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just, yeah, it still boggles my mind. It's scary, scary
And it's
times.
happening everywhere. That's the thing. It's not just one country. It's not like just America or just the UK or just Ukraine. It's everywhere. Everywhere has just gone absolutely mad at the moment.
Mhm. I know. That's why I tell a lot of people that, because I have a lot of people that I meet that, haven't traveled a lot like I have. I lived over seas, and I'm like, it's not, and they think it's just America. They're like, oh my God, we're so bad. I'm like, it's happening everywhere,
Yeah.
This is a thing everywhere. And that'll open their eyes a lot of times too, I'm like, yeah. That's why right now it can be hard with everything going on to say, hey, look at me, I make art, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But I guess the other part of it that I try to look at is that hopefully that's also a release that people can gravitate, some happiness. And I'm just, while I can, trying to keep moving forward and, you know, be able, like right now, we're be able to travel and have these experiences. I don't know what's going to happen. It may not be like that in the near future. So,
No, no, we might all be kind of stuck where we are, and who knows what's going to go on? Not the way they're going, but music is a kind of escapism, isn't it? It can transport you to somewhere else. It takes your mind off what's going on around the world, and it lets you escape to a hopefully a better place.
Yeah, because I like what I try to do sometimes is like, well, all I really know is this moment. So live in the moment. So I'm definitely doing that more. And also just feelings and experiences, what we know is really true. We don't really, in the end when everything happens. So that's even what I tell like my bandmates and stuff, because you're on tour. There's so many aspects. You could be like bummed, people aren't at the show, not enough tickets sold, this, that, so many aspects, and just be like trying to remember like have fun. Like
Yeah,
that's why we're here. It's like these experiences of meeting people that you would have never met, and the things that when people come to you and tell you things, that just really means a lot.
yeah, exactly. You've got to grab every moment you can. But you seem a happy person. Which is,
The truth is, I actually truly am bipolar. I do suffer from depression. I have so my whole life. So yeah, I'm definitely a up and down person. My emotions are very extreme. I was just telling my partner the other day, I was like, oh, sometimes it's exhausting. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, wait, how do you know this? He's like, because of you. And I'm like, oh, but I think mental health is really, really important. That's one thing I really stress in my bandmates and when we're touring and stuff like that. Like that's health, mental health, that's number one over everything. So yeah, no, I do take medication. I do have therapy, use a lot of cognitive skills, but you know, there are days where I'm just completely down and I just am, but having the awareness of what's going on, why I'm having it, that helps a lot too. So I really believe in mental health for people. So
yeah, and people should talk.
yeah,
People should talk. I mean,
communication, talk, being able to. And so I know sometimes I seem annoying to people because I'll be like, I'll express to them even if I have a headache and things like that. And I'm like, why are you doing? I'm like, oh, just to let you know so that you won't think if I look like this, I'm mad at you, or, it's because I just don't feel well or this is happening. And I have lots of allergies. I'm allergic to the whole world, animals, indoor, outdoor, everything. So I'm always fighting. My immune system is just crazy. It loves to be so overreactive. It's insane. So there's just a lot of like little things which can make touring hard for me as well. And then social anxiety, the social part is a lot on tour. So yeah, I do need a lot of alone time. I've learned in nature because I get easily overwhelmed by a lot of feelings and emotions. My mom says I'm an empath. Could be not. I have had some crazy experiences. I can't really, by science, explain. Um, I swear I can see air move. And I think that's a lot of times why I like to get to a venue early, do everything. And a lot of times people like to leave and then come back when they're going to play. I like to stay there. I think I just need to get grounded in that space and feel like the energy of that space. I don't know.
that makes sense. Makes sense.
I don't know if I ever make sense.
It does because I know from personal experience as well. Similar things. The allergies, no, but a lot of the other things, yes. Moods go up and down, medication, and the whole lot as well. Um, it's just sometimes people don't talk about it, and I think that's where it gets worse. I know it's easy to say talk about it, but
It's hard to talk about it. Yeah.
yeah, sometimes it isn't that easy. But I think I've had several artists I've spoken to who've mentioned mental health, and I think it's a good thing that occasionally we talk about it because I think that allows other people who may be watching to see, oh, it's not just me then. Because sometimes it does feel like it's just you.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you're in the throes of pain and sadness, and especially like with depression, you just feel so alienated and exhausted. It's really hard to do in the simplest things or like reach out. And for me, it took a long time to learn that some things will happen and I won't even know that I was hurt by them. Because I've just learned, as most of us has, stuff it in. And so it takes me a few days being like, wait a minute, I felt like this from that. What was that? And to kind of be able to do it and be able to talk about it. But yeah, that's even like I was realizing I watch a lot of crime series, all these kind of shows, and sometimes I'm like, why am I watching this stuff? But I realize even with them, um, I've learned. I like the other day, I learned something from like their therapist that they were going to. It's like, oh my God. Or I realized that's exactly what happened to me. But, you know, I didn't tell anyone, I didn't think about it. So um, I think that art has a lot of that for people, and hopefully that does help. And I feel like we're talking more about it in general, and more awareness is being brought to it. So hopefully, like for younger generations and stuff, it'll be good.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And anything we can do that kind of makes people aware that they're not alone. There is other people going through it, and it's, well, to be honest, I think it's the majority of people who've got some kind of mental illness. But I think the thing was, I was brought up always, oh, mental illness, that's not good. That's really, you don't talk about that. That
Yeah.
just happens to other people
Yeah.
and the minority. Where I think in reality, it's more like the majority
Yeah,
have some
exactly.
kind of mental illness, and we should talk about it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just like every other illness. It is an illness, and that's it. And
Yeah, because I think the way we've
talking
built,
about it is the best way.
yeah, and the way we've developed the world with a lot of the great things we have also just they're not intuitive to like actual human bodies and how we are. So that creates a lot of it too. Just like we even wrote a song about it years ago called Stable Vices about, horses that have mental illness from being kept in stables and things like
Yeah,
that too. It's like all these things we've done. And that's why there's anxiety in dogs, even just because we've changed everything. But yeah, the idea of science just being like that. And I think a lot of it is for me, like looking at it is just learning from the very beginning of like when you're raising your kids and just being able to explain things because a lot of times things aren't explained, or people your parents didn't know how to react to something. They're
yeah.
humans too that have their past of stuff, so they did what they thought but it caused this. And for me, I feel very fortunate because my family, we weren't so close when I was younger, but within the last few years, we've become very close. And we're all like really into supporting each other, growing, being able to communicate now and kind of understanding that. And I see my parents continue to grow and change even now, and so I'm doing it too. And I look at it that each day we're a new person because each day that's passed, we've changed a little bit, hopefully in the better. But yeah, so that's a way I can also look at past mistakes or things that I've done and being like, what? Oh, wait, I wasn't who I am now. So I
Yeah.
didn't know this information. So that kind of helps me process things. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like when I look at sometimes at things that have happened to people, and I think even now, even though I do take medication for anxiety, depression, and things, I think, how did they get to that stage and no one noticed? You know, one of them was the Lincoln Park singer Chester. You see the video of him the day before, happy with his kid, and then the next gone. And it's like, what didn't anybody see that? Wasn't and why didn't he make anyone aware? And it's that point where it's so hard to talk to someone
Yeah.
because it's like embarrassing to talk. It's easier just I suppose to take a shortcut out.
Yeah. Or just, yeah, you put on a persona, for other people too. And a lot of it happens a lot, I think, with a lot of people who are kind of like famous or rich. They say, I don't know, because, people around them maybe, aren't just saying what they want for them. But a lot of times, it's just exhausting too. I think that's
Yeah,
that as I get older, I can see more of the exhaustion of fighting it all the time, going through the ups and downs and stuff.
it is
So
tiring. And
it's
it's frightening as well at the time
mhm.
because sometimes you're in that spiral and you think, how do I get out of this? You
Yeah, and like
know,
I'll break down sometimes and just be like, oh, I'm insane.
yeah, yeah, it does, and it does get to you, but we've got to, I suppose, be there for each other and try and recognize the signs if we can and help each other. And
Yeah.
talking about it is one way to do it. And I think if that helps anybody, I said that to someone else I spoke to a while back and said if what we're talking about now helps somebody
and you made a
we've done a
difference.
good thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what's important in life, isn't it? And it's like music. I always use that as almost like a therapy. It just the right songs at the right time. Your music works wonders because it's soothing, because it's the vocals, isn't it? It's just I don't know, it's just
I
soothing,
don't know.
I guess. Um and I just like music like that that kind of just lets you unwind to it. And that's brilliant. But then I think your concerts are probably very energetic somehow.
Um, we do try to bring a lot. I do try to bring a lot of energy to the show because I think those are fun to watch and stuff. And we tend to do lately, especially too. I've been doing more of the more energetic songs because I feel like the energy of it, and it's fun to do those live. Anyways, for me, I
Yeah.
enjoy them, and I do like performing. I was a ballerina for years, so that could probably be why. But yeah, I enjoy it. But yeah, I still get nervous.
Yeah, that doesn't, I don't think that goes away, does it?
I don't think it's going to ever. I think I'm just like that.
No, no, I think it's one of
Like I
those
gotta go to
things.
the grocery store. So
But then you just, do you zone out when you're on stage?
yeah, yeah, that's one of the reasons because I didn't start doing music till later in my life, and I never thought of myself. I have a degree in fashion design. I was always doing like behind the scenes and stuff, but I always loved music. But yeah, in our first show we ever did, I'd never performed, even sang in a mic, and I just was thrown up there and did it. But yeah, that's one thing I realized that I really love. It was like the one moment I could feel free. Like I just get into the zone, like nothing, people judging me on my self-consciousness, everything just goes away. It's the one moment I could really feel free. That's what I like to, hopefully the energy I'm giving to the people seeing it as well. As soon as it stops and you're off stage, like, oh my God, you're like, but that's also a thing over time that was hard for me too, because I inherently just want to hide and I feel so weird. And but then that's not what watching other bands, and that's not what other people are seeing or feeling. So if you act like that, then that affects them. So it's also been a process of how to be after I play, because yeah, you may feel not as good because maybe the sound wasn't as good in this, or you feel upset or just drained. Um, but other people aren't maybe feeling that. So I try to keep like a brave face for that too, as well, I guess.
That's brilliant. But I'm like the same with the anxiety and things. It's like I'd rather not open that door. But when I do, for example, those markets, I love it and then I miss them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm outside with people who which I'd rather be indoors out of the way. But when it comes to something like that, I can put myself in the
Yeah.
fact that I'm doing that and concentrate on that and block everything else out. And I
Hmm.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then when it's gone, I miss it.
Hmm.
And then when it comes to having to do another one, I think, oh God, do I want to go out? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? And I have to try and think back to another previous one where I enjoyed it and try and think, how did I enjoy it? What did I do to get out that door?
Yeah, yeah. You're like, but that's one thing too. I used to be super, super shy. And that's more most my personality. But there's people I've met throughout my life, and I was like, I want to be like them. Like even just
Yes.
one of my parents' best friends. And so when I go, and I think I've been told, because I used to always be like, oh, she's a snob, this and this. And I've been told that I seem like maybe serious or intimidating or something, but I'm just a really huge nerd who's probably going to talk about animals and be chewing bubble gum. Like I love bubble gum, which is really gross, not good for you. But yeah, so I'm okay. But so I've taken from those people that I met that were like that. And I was like, wow, they were so cool and they brought an energy to me too. And like, I'll try to be the one maybe a lot of times to break the ice first or whatever. Um, but that in itself can be exhausting as well. And I also learned, I think, being a female, it's harder for us too because we get judged a lot more and a lot more expectations are put on us in a different way. That's another thing I really try to give is energy and power to females, and anyone just to be whatever you want to be, because growing up in patriarchal Puerto Ricans and Hispanics and all of that too, it's very like male, and just in this industry and just in life, I've had to really be strong and like push for
Yeah.
it. Um, but yeah, that's another hard thing where you've gotta break the ice on that too.
Definitely. I mean, we should all be equal.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, we should all be equal, and it's obviously it's not like that, sadly, and it should be.
Yeah.
And it's wrong that a female has to fight harder to get recognised. It shouldn't be like that. It should be automatic. You're on your merit, really.
Yeah.
You know, like yourself, your music's really good, so it should speak for itself. But
Well, it used to be when we first started, we actually didn't really show me. We downplayed a lot because it was this thing where it's like, oh, because a lot people weren't doing this type of music and a lot of females in it. And we had to play noise shows and metals, and it was all guys, and they would be like, oh, look at her. She thinks she's so cool. Lady Gaga, this kind of stuff. So we'd kind of talk it down. And then I'd get up there and do it. They're like, oh, shit. I'm like, dude, whatever, and they're like, or they're like, why don't you sing like this, trying to do stuff. So, and then I realized after a bit, I was like, you know what? Doing that, you're still holding me back. You're making me feel ashamed for being female and just being who I am.
yeah,
And I like clothes and I like fashion and I want to do this. So screw you. If you want to take it in this way and that way, whatever. But so that was another big freeing thing for me. And I had a good friend who really helped me with videos and photos because I didn't like them of me, and realizing this is another way for me to express my art, to get these feelings across. So I also take on a persona when I do those. I don't really look at them as me. I look at
yeah.
them as an art form to try to get that out there. And I hope a lot of people can take from that too.
It's a good thing. It is a good thing, and it's something to admire as well. The fact that you've done that, because it's not easy. It's not and wearing your heart on your in public isn't easy at all. It
It's
really
pretty
isn't.
painful.
It is. It is. Um, but you're doing
But
well. You're doing well.
I just figure like when I think about times and I'm like, oh, I wish I was like this. I'm like, well, I mean, even with like love and relationships and stuff, I'm like, I'm lucky I've had these. As painful as these things have been, some people never experience this. And in the end, like for me, look at like, you don't know, like material success, all of that. When you die, you are collections of what you've been through. So that's how I try to live and make myself feel okay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no matter who we are, what we claim we are, what we think we are, at the end of the day, we all go the same way. Doesn't matter who we are, does it? But all
Yeah.
we can do is make our mark, and hopefully a positive mark, before we go. And
Yep. I hope. I think of the people that put the positive marks on me, and that kind of helped, change like who I was. And even now, when people are like, what do you want in life? What's your goal? I'm like, I don't know, to be happy. Like, that's
that's it.
really my goal. Like, I don't know. I mean, of course, it's like, I'd love to be able not have allergies so I could rescue every animal in the world, but simple things like that. But, community outreach, things like that. But really, I can be happy. It can be lots of different forms, So, of course, I would love to be super successful in music and art and be able to do it, in some form for my whole life. Yeah.
I think what you're doing with Bestial Mouths is really good. It's up there, in my opinion, with some of the rest. So why 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 shouldn't it become successful? But then success is something that you judge rather
Yeah.
than someone else. So if you think you're doing being successful to what you think is successful, then That's it. But do we keep setting our bar higher? That's the other problem then, isn't it?
Yep, yep. I think, I mean, unfortunately, money is the thing of life.
Yeah.
That's just it becomes hard, and then it's just like juggling it, doing it, everything too. And it's scary because we take a lot of risks, I'm like, "Hope I'm gonna make it back, like so that's the part I think that gets really hard,
That must be quite difficult.
yeah. There's days where I'm just like, oh, I
'Cause
don't
I know
know.
some people told me that it actually costs them money to do some of their tours and some of their festivals. It actually, they lose money by doing it. And it's like,
Yeah, that's what people don't realize. It depends. There's times where I just break even. There's times where I've spent more money. It's really rare that I actually make money. But yeah, people just don't really realize with all of the things. And even as you're getting paid more, but then you have all these other things on top of it. And it's kind of weighing things out. Sometimes it's just like, well, it's worth this experience. It's worth to open up for this artist. And hopefully the next one will come and balance it out. That's also why the jewelry I've been making jewelry for a long time, but it was my meditation and I loved it. So I didn't want to make it a business because I wanted to keep that as that and not the pressure. But it's also a way for me to make more money doing something I enjoy as
yeah,
well.
exactly.
Um, and recycling and too. So that's why I started doing more of the markets and why I bring that on tour. It's just another revenue to bring more money in.
Well, I don't blame you. I don't
Yeah,
blame you.
it's hard.
We've got to live. But you do it for the love of it, don't you? The music. And
For
anything else on top of that is kind of a bonus, isn't it? I guess in the end. I mean, yeah, I guess every artist would like to make money out of doing it, but sadly that's not in this in the industry as it is, it's
yeah.
not happening, sadly.
I would just love to be able to have experience and connections. Hopefully things kind of keep leading to something so I can be involved in it,
Yeah.
in a whole bunch of different ways.
Getting you to Malta would be one thing.
Yeah,
That'd be a good one.
that's one of mine. That's on there too. Yeah.
That's on the list. Is
Yep.
there anything else you'd like to talk about, Lynette?
I don't think so.
Sure. No, if there's anything else, just you can mention it.
um, Thank you everybody for loving music and art. And yeah, thanks for wanting to talk to me and
No,
learn about
always.
things and yeah, listening to me
And your
babble. And
tour starts in America on the
the first
first
date
8th
is yeah, March 8th in New York. Yeah. We're part
until
of April 13th or April 12th, I think is our last date in Reno.
right. Lynette, it's been wonderful talking to you again.
Thank
Um,
you. Millie says goodbye.
and to the little ones.
She's like, stop waking me up.
She's so tiny and
Yeah,
quiet.
we've actually got her up to like 3 pounds now, but yeah, she's tiny, tiny. She's the runt of her litter. So she's a rescue from a litter of Chihuahuas, but she's
So
everyone.
quiet.
She's very quiet. Yeah, she
It
doesn't
used to be quite,
bark. She
wasn't
doesn't talk. She just parties and sleeps.
it?
Yeah, you can take her anywhere. She's been on the back of motorcycles. She'll go anywhere. And she loves she's cool with other dogs, kids, cats, whatever.
Back to sleep, I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lynette, so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day and
Yeah,
a weekend.
yeah, weekend now.
Yeah, I was like, I
Yeah.
don't know what date it is. Don't know. I don't really have specific weekends, so I don't know.
That's the trouble when you're busy.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know what days are what, but yeah. My bandmates come in on Sunday
Wow.
from Bordeaux, from France. So
Wow.
get yep,
From a long
get some
way.
practice in and yep, and then we're going on tour.